Hi everyone, welcome back friends. So, without much wasting time, let us hand over mic to Arpit Srivastav, who is going to share some key insights on Power Apps portal ALM story. Arpit, over to you.
Hey, hi Rakesh. Hi, thank you.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, good morning, guys. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. Let me share my screen to begin my session. Please confirm if you're able to see my screen.
All is good, Arpit.
Perfect. All right. So, thank you everyone for joining me today. Before begin the session, I would like to thanks the organizing team, especially the Sanjay, Rakesh, and whoever is organizing this event. So special thanks to all of you. So putting a lot of efforts to share the interesting stuff on the community and making obviously our India proud. Thanks for this busy back to school bootcamp 2021 initiative. And as you know that today we're going to discuss about the Powerapps portal ALM. So I've been giving a lot of sessions on the portals and recently made a tool for the community folks to automate the Power Apps portal deployment. So in this session, in the next 1 hour, I'm going to discuss about the process that you not need to follow to deploy your portal deployment, and I'm going to discuss about my tool as well, along with all the extensions that Microsoft has provided. All right. So as you know that we're going to discuss about the application lifecycle management of the Power Apps portal. So before begin to the session, a quick introduction about me. All right. So those who don't me or who didn't join my session before, my name is Harpish Srivastav, and I'm a Microsoft MVP in business application. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer as well. I've been giving a lot of trainings and sessions from last 5 years almost. I'm working as a Power Platform architect in Capgemini from last 2 years, and initially I was working in the TCS. And I'm the India Dynamics 365 user group lead, and recently been awarded as a Power Community Ambassador as well. I've been sharing a lot of interesting stuff on my social media channels, like I'm writing blog. You can find a lot of interesting stuff about the Power Platform, components, Azure, and Azure DevOps related stuff on my on my website called arpitpowerguide.com. And I often upload a lot of interesting videos on my YouTube channel, especially related to the recordings. So I've been speaking in many events worldwide. So if you want to watch my recordings, then you can just subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can find that YouTube channel by the name Arpit Dynamics. So if you have any queries related to any of the component related to the Power Platform or the Dynamic 365, you can get in touch with me offline as well. So here's my social media details. All right. Okay, so let's discuss about the agenda quickly. The first we are going to discuss about the fundamental concept of Power Apps Portal ALM. Okay, and then we're going to discuss about the Power Apps Portal CLI. That is one of the most recent update that Microsoft has introduced in the portal side, especially from in the deployment perspective. The Power Apps Portal CLI is one of the most used feature right now. Then we're going to discuss about the development strategy using CLI and what are the different options we have. And then we have the deployment, obviously. Okay, and then I have some interesting stuff to show you so that in your upcoming projects you can start implementing that a portal CLI, or you can make your development and deployment strategy smoothly. Okay, so let's discuss about the ALM first. Okay, so those who are the new to this terminology, that what is the ALM means. So ALM basically stands for Application Lifecycle Management. Okay, so as the name indicates, it actually manages how the application will, uh, from its born to its brought up. Okay, how we are managing that application. So it's not about the application. It is basically in the real world. It's happened with the humans as well. When you born till your death, someone is there to take care of, right? How you managing your whole life, right? So in the same way, any application in this world, it's not about the portal, right? Any application in this world, whether it's a mobile application, the web application, regardless of any platform, regardless of any languages you are building that application, they require the management. Now, why this management is required? Because if you're not doing a proper management of your application, you will not be able to deploy it successfully to the end users, right? There should be some sort of discipline you have to follow, right, while designing the application. Okay. Now, the ALM basically has the three perspective or three aspects: the people, product, and the process. So if you are able to manage these three aspects, then you can able to manage the whole application lifecycle as well. So what is the meaning of people? How I can manage the people? So if you're designing any application, there are list of resources, list of pupils are involved in that particular in the process. There are multiple pupils or the resources are involved in that. Now, where the resources are involved in that, for example, if I talk about any application which starts with the planning, right? So you need some folks who can make the better planning of that application. You need the solution architect, you need the business application pupils, you need the developers, you need the functional guys, right? So these are the resources. Once your application is done, you need the testers, you need the deployment managers. Okay, so these sort of resources you have to manage, to manage your application. So a proper planning of your resources and people is also part of your application lifecycle management. The second way is the product. The product means what sort of tools or what sort of the components, extensions, or the products you are going to use to design that application. Because you know that in the dynamic CRM or in the Power Platform, there are n number of infinite tools are available for you. You can use the Microsoft own product tools. You can create your own extensions as per your requirement. You can use the third party ISV solutions. So there are list of products are there. Okay, so what sort of products, what sort of tools you need to use to manage that application, that is also the part of application lifecycle management. The right now, the major focus of the Microsoft to automate the process. So you need to use the tools, you need to decide the tools that can make your application implementation or the deployment smoothly with the automation process, right? So that is also part of the product management. The last one is the process. That is one of the most important thing, that what process you are actually following in order to design a particular application, right? Now there is no particular thumb rule to design a process, to design an application, right? Every organization has its own way of working. Every organization or client has their own process, right, to design an application. So process is also a very important part. So you need to take care these three aspects in order to manage your application. Now, if I talk about the portal management, how you can manage the portal, Powerapps portal ALM. So obviously they start with the planning. Okay, so obviously, if you have to start working, if you're new to the portal and you are hired as a developer, okay, and you have to start developing the portal, that's the first thing that the implementation start with the planning. So the planning is basically a phase where you actually plan that what you actually want to develop. Okay, whether you actually want to design the portal or not, right? So these are the planning phase where you actually do the requirement gathering from the client, so that you can decide that what you actually want to put it inside the portal. The second phase is the development phase, where your app developers, your pro developers design the functionality based on the client requirement. Then you do the testing, then you deploy it to the the target instance, where you get the feedback from your client, your end user start using that. Then finally it's monitoring, right? So the monitoring is also a very important thing. Once your application is deployed to the end user environment, they start using that, you have to monitor sometimes, right? That how the application is performing, how the user is interacting with the application, so these sort of things. So this is all the process comes under the part of Powerapps portal ALM. Okay, now why the portal, why the ALM is important? I can install simply a portal and start developing it and just deploy it to the production. Then why I need this process need to follow? Why the ALM came into the picture? There are certain sort of advantage of using ALM, that it actually improve the team collaboration. So obviously it actually force you to follow some sort of some sort of disciplines in order to develop the application. Because there are two things: develop a application and develop the application be using ALM. So designing an application, development is application is a very simple thing. You can start opening an app, you can start writing the code and all. But follow the best practices, follow a particular process is the most important thing, right? So that LMs actually helps you to do. Okay, so it actually improves the team collaboration. So because there are a lot of team members involved when you design a particular application, so it is required that there should be proper collaboration or the communication between your team members. So it actually helps to improve your collaboration. The second one is the improve the development process with the cooperation of frequent and thorough testing. So that is also important thing, like most of the time we do the proper development, but we are not doing the proper testing or the unit testing for that particular application. So ALM basically help you to use to streamline your development process and actually helps you to do the thorough testing as well. It helps you to ensure the top quality products are deployed, obviously. So if your application is being developed or managed by a well-mannered application lifecycle management, then obviously you will be deliver a high quality product to the client, and there will be very less chance to get the issues on the productions. It actually guides you to follow the several discipline to manage the application that I already discussed about. You have to follow some sort of guidelines, some best practices while following the ALM. So it actually helps you to quickly turn your idea into reality. So what the client is thinking and what you are implementing. So it actually turns your idea into reality in a quick manner. When you can imagine, right, in the today fast digital world, any client or the customer don't want to wait for the years to get the application or for the application get delivered to the end users. They want the fast development, they want to fast testing, and they want the rapid deployment as well. And if they are giving any sort of feedbacks on the production, they want to immediately get the resolution of that particular, or get the feedback get sorted out on the particular application, right? So these sort of rapid changes have been done over the past couple of years. So obviously there should be some sort of guidelines we have to follow, some process we have to follow, so that we can improvise, or we can increase the development uh, I would say reduce the development time, increase the deployment speed actually. Okay. And the last one, improve the developer satisfaction and visibility into your workflow. So sometimes what happen is, if someone wants to track that what developer is doing, or your higher management wants to have a visibility that where the application is lands currently. So in the ALM process, you can properly make the strategy, so they are it can be visible to the higher management as well, and it obviously improve the developer satisfaction. All right, and helps you to deliver a bug-free system. Obviously, so if you are following a best practices, or the Microsoft given guidelines, or following a streamlined process, then definitely you deliver a bug-free system to the client. All right, now, so this is about the generic introduction about the ALM and why the ALM is needed. But now if I discuss about the planning of in terms of the Powerapps portal, okay, so that was the first phase of the Powerapps portal. So what sort of plannings you need to design the Powerapps portal? Okay, so the first thing is the requirement management. So that is one of the most important phase of any of designing a portal. So in the requirement management phase, you actually get the requirement from the client and just analyze whether you actually need to develop the portal or not. That is one of the most important phase, because it is the decision making this decision making step where you actually decide whether you want to go with the portal or not, because there is no rollback step. Because once you start developing the portal and then in the later phase you realize that the portal was no longer needed actually, then there is no back step actually. So in the requirement management phase, you have to be you have to be very concentration about whether you really require the portals or not. Environment setup is also one of the important things, like once you decided like you want to use the portal, then environment setup is also part of your planning phase, where you have to decide how many environments you want to use in a particular Dynamics 365 tenant or Microsoft in the Dataverse environment. Okay, so there might be multiple environments. So environment is basically just to grouping the resources, right? So the resources means your Power Automate, your portal, your Power Apps, your connector. So these sort of resources. So if you are doing the grouping of the resources, then you have to decide how many environments you want to use in a particular Dynamics 365 tenant or Microsoft environment. Okay, so there might be multiple environments. So environment is basically just to grouping the resources, right? So the resources means your Power Automate, your portal, your Power Apps, your connector. So these sort of resources. and you are creating a separate instance that we call it as the environments. Okay, so environments actually lets you secure the instance from the different resources. So for example, you can create the environment for testing environment, for the test purpose, for development purpose, and one for the production purpose. Okay, so that you have to decide, and it's not a thumb rule of any organization that you have to use the three environments only: dev, test, and UAT, or the production. It depends on the organization planning or your project team actually. Okay, another thing is the security in the user access. So security was one of the major thing in the Power Apps portal, and it was recently in the headline as well. So if you want to learn more about the security of Microsoft Dataverse or the Power Apps portal, you can just go to my YouTube channel. And in last 1 week I've actually given two security sessions, one on the Microsoft Dataverse, where actually I discussed about the Microsoft Dataverse deep dive security. And then I think 2 days back I have given the portal security session as well. So where I have actually covered why the security is important and what are the data leaks you can avoid in the portal. So in the planning phase, the security and user access plays a very key role. You need to take care of it, that what sort of user is going to use the portal and what sort of security you need to provide. So the user access means whether the portal is going to be accessed by the anonymous user, authenticated user, or the dynamic 365 internal users, right? So these sort of all the plannings you have to do before start doing implementation. Licensing is also play a very key role in terms of portal, because you should know about the audience of the portal. Okay, who is going to use the portal, and based on that you have to decide the license of the portal. Okay, so sometimes what happen is the portal is going to be used by the internal users, and you don't need to pay extra for that, but still you are paying for that. So you need to know your audience, you need to understand the requirement first, then you can decide that what type of licensing you need, because portal is basically distributed into two types of license. The first is authenticated basis user license, and second is anonymous user based license. So you need to understand your audience, who is going to use, and what is this I would say um, the size of your audience, the anonymous user or the authenticated user. Based on that you can decide the licensing. You need to decide what sort of portal you need. So it is also important thing, because once you install the portal, because there are list of templates are available for you. You have the starter portal, customer portal, partner portal, employee self service portals, right? So you need to decide in the planning phase that which portal you actually want. So you need to thorough go through all the requirements, and based on that you just need to decide that which portal is actually fit for this particular requirement. Because that is the important thing, because once you install the portal in your Microsoft Dataverse, then there is no way to convert the portal from one portal to another portal. Okay, you need to uninstall the portal, and that uninstall process is also a very tedious job. It's not like that you just need to delete the portal management tab and just you are done with that. It's not like that. You need to delete the configuration first, and then you need to manually uninstall all the solution in a particular order. So that is a very complex job actually. So just need to make sure that what portal you need to install, that should be depend on your requirement. Solution strategy, that is also important thing in terms of the portal, because most of the customization you do in the Microsoft Dataverse environment, right? So for example, if I have to create a page, I have to create a form or the list, I have to customize the dynamic 365 forms and the views. All right, and there might be the possibility that in the same environment some dynamic 365 developers are also working and the portal developers are also working. So it's good to keep a separate solution where you can keep your solution components related to the portal, so that it doesn't impact the dynamic 365 development or their solution component. So solution strategy is also part of the planning phase. Development team, that is also very important, because there might be a it depends actually organization to organization or your project planning, like how many developers you need to develop a portal. Okay, sometimes some organization need three developers, sorry, three resources: one for the development, one for the testing, and one for the deployment. So it's up to you. The single person can do all the three things, the three individual person can do all the three different things. So it's upon depends on your the time management or your project deadlines. So that is also part of the planning, that you have to decide your resource strength or development team. and your source control, your deployment strategy, your development strategy, what sort of tools you have to use, that is also part of the planning. Okay, so there are, I'm going to discuss about in the further slides, like what are the deployment options, what are the development strategy, what are the different tools are there. So there are n number of things you can use in the portal, but that should be part of your planning, so that development don't need to waste the time that which particular way I have to go. Okay, so that is the things. It's not about the portal. If you are designing a canvas app, or developing any sort of components in the Power Platform, there is some list of plannings you need to do. I, as per my personal experience, I put more effort on the planning instead of in the development. Okay, so because if you are doing a very good proper planning, you will not spend much time in the development, in the deployment, and in your rest of your the project stages. So that is, according to me, one of the major step in any project life cycle. Okay, in any application life cycle management. All right. Now, I discuss about the planning. Now I'm going to discuss about the development. Now, if I have to double, I actually planned everything, like what sort of tools I have to use, and what sort of resources management, environment, licenses I have to use. Then final one is the development. Okay, being a developer, I have to start developing the portal. Now to develop the portal, there are three ways available. The first one is the Power Apps Portal Studio. The second way is the Portal Management app, and the final one is the Powerapps Cli. That is one of the most recent update done by the Microsoft in terms of the portal development. Okay, so there are three things now. The Powerapps Portal Studio lets you design or configure the Powerapps portal from the Powerapps Management Studio. So if you're familiar with uh, the Power Apps Studio, where you actually design the Canvas app, it's similar like that. You can directly open a whole portal in edit mode, and you can just start doing your configuration and the customization. Okay, the second is the portal management app. Okay, in the portal management app is nothing, it is just a model driven app. So once you install the portal, you get to see a new model driven app gets created. That model driven app name is the portal management app. So you can open that model driven app, where you can see list of all the components of the portal, and you can start customizing that. And the last one is the Power Apps Cli. So if you are the VS Code or the Visual Studio Code lover, then you can start using the Power Apps Cli, where you can simply develop your portal within a VS Code. So in this session, I'm not going to use the studio and the portal management app. I'm going to discuss about the future, that is Power Apps Cli. All right. Now, being a developer, how do I decide, like, among these three options, where to go actually? So whether I need to use the studio, or the model driven app, or the Power App CLI. So it's up to you actually, or it's actually up to your comfort level, that where you actually comfortable to write the code or deploy the code. Okay, so according to me, if you are a pro portal developer, okay, and you have the knowledge of all the components, security, and everything, right? So you know about the security breaches, data leak, where I can leak the security, or where I can provide the configuration. If you have the very good knowledge about the portal components, I would recommend to go with the portal management app. But Power Apps Portal Security, Power Apps Portal Studio is basically provides you all sort of warnings if you have any sort of loopholes, or if you sort of any sort of um, if you have any problems in the security while configuring the components, it gives you the warning, right? So that doesn't happen in the portal management app actually. In some of the components, Microsoft has recently given started has started giving the warnings. For example, if you are creating a OData query or OData feeds, if you are not enabling the entity permission, it gives you the warning, right? So in the same way, Power Apps Portal Studio is the latest version of enhancing or customizing the portal. So if you don't want to put more effort in the in writing the codes and all, and you want to get the smooth UI, where you can get the warnings if you have any sort of loopholes in the system and the configuration, then go with the Power Apps Portal Studio. Power Apps CLI is for the VS Code lovers. If you want to store your code, or keep the local copy of your portal code in your local machine, uh, sort of backup on your local machine, then you go with the Power Apps CLI. Okay, so everyone has their own advantage and disadvantages. Powerapps CLI is improving, in the upcoming releases. A lot of new enhancement is being done by the Microsoft in this area. Deployment, once you develop the code, if you have to deploy it. So since I am working in the Power Apps portal since the AD Studio was there, so I know the growth of the portal. I have seen, I have seen or I have used, a lot of components to deploy the portal. The first component was there, a tool was there to deploy the portal, was website copy tool. So that website copy tool was there for the AD Studio when the Microsoft didn't acquire that tool. It was with the KPMG, I think, and AD Studio was actually used. The website copy tool was actually used to deploy the configuration of portal from one instance to another instance. The second one was the configuration migration tool that you can still use that. And that configuration migration tool, you are aware that you use that tool to migrate your master data in the dynamic CRM as well. So in the same way, you can do it in the portal. And I personally did that a lot of time, but it's a manual activity. You need to create the schema file and it doesn't actually do the incremental deployment as well. So all these sort of deployment tools are the manual one. And there are some XRM toolbox are also available, like portal utilities and also. I didn't personally use that tools, but yeah, so there are some tools are available, but that was not the built by Microsoft. And the last one, that the recent one, is the Powerapps CLI. So Powerapps CLI is the latest one, and it is the future that lets you allow or lets you automate the whole portal deployment. Okay, so I'll quickly in a while I'll just going to show you that how you can use the Powerapps CLI to automate your deployment. All right. Okay, now another thing is the Powerapps portal monitoring. Okay, so that is also important thing. Once you develop your application, you deploy it to the end user, how you can monitor your application. I know there are some sort of restrictions or some limitation in terms of the monitoring of the Powerapps portal. We have some sort of good tools, or the reporting capabilities are there with the Power Apps, Canvas app, model driven app, but not right now with the portal. But yeah, we have some planning in the future that some portal analytics are coming. As per Dilip, actually we had a Power Apps portal boot camp last month, and in that he announced actually that we are going to use the Power Apps uses analytics, where the where you can simply see the analytics of the portal, that who is using the portal and how many number of pages are being used and this sort of information. But along with that, you can use some more tools as well. You have the Azure monitors. Okay, and using Azure monitor, you can not a very good tool, but yeah, but if your client still wants to monitor your Power Apps portal performance or any sort of tracking, then you have the two option available in the Azure side. The first is Azure monitoring, and second is the application inside. Now, what is the relation between portal and the Azure, and how the Azure actually tracks these activities being done on the portal? So actually, when you install the portal, or when you provision a portal, there is a web app gets created there, and using that web apps, you can easily track all the monitoring and all the application inside. If you have any sort of performance issues or any sort of bugs at the server side, you can easily track it at the in the Azure monitor in the application inside side. But if you have any sort of issues in your configuration, I would recommend to use the portal checker as well. The portal checker is available in the portal admin center, where you can easily track what sort of configuration issues or what sort of security or data leaks issue is there in your configuration. All right, but portal checker is basically for the developers actually, so to track all the configuration related issue. And what coming next that I was discussing about is the users analytics. Users analytics is the upcoming feature of the portals, where you can simply you can get to see the analytics or the reports of the users of the portal. And you can simply capture all sort of engagement metrics, like the top pages, what are the pages that is being used by most of the audience of the portal, how many numbers of users are accessing the portal, the location of the users. So these sort of all sort of auditing, we can easily do it using users analytics. Okay, and you get to see all sort of these charts as well. You have the funnel charts, you have the pie charts, so all sort of the Power BI reporting capability is going to be available on the Power Apps portal usage analytics feature. All right. The final one is the Powerapps CLI that I'm going to discuss today. Okay, so what is the Powerapps CLI? Powerapps CLI is basically is a single stop developer command line interface that actually empowers developers and your ISVs to perform the various operations in the Microsoft Power Platform. Okay, so for example, if you can see here, this is the Power Platform, and in this Power Platform, we have the Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, Power Virtual Agent, and we have the portals, right? So Power Apps CLI is nothing but is simply a command line prompt sort of things where you simply interact with the Power Platform component using the command lines. So it's not only allow the developers of your organization, but it also allows your ISVs as well. Okay, so ISVs are the independent service vendors. Basically, they are not your organization or the Microsoft user. They are actually the external user. They can also create their extensions. They also can create their own tool as well using this the Power App CLI. Okay, now what are the capabilities of the Power App CLI in terms of the portal development and the portal deployment? Let's discuss about that. Now, how can I do the portal development using Power Apps CLI? So portal development is basically made up of two things. Okay. The first one is the customization and the second one is your configuration. All right. So customization is, whatever solution component you are, changing in the Dynamic 365 instance, and configuration is whatever whatever things you are changing in the portal out of box entities like basic form, advanced form, table, or the web pages. And the customization, you do the customization in the Dynamic 365 components like the tables, columns, forms, views, charts, and the dashboard. So there are basically two things when you do the actual portal development. For example, I have to create a form on the portal. So obviously you first create a form in the Dynamic 365 CRM form. Okay, and then in the configuration part you create a basic form and then attach that CRM form to it, right? So you need to do the customization, then you need to do the configuration. Okay, now for the customization, you obviously need to go to the Dynamic 365. There is no way to do that. Okay, but for the configuration of the portal you can use the VS Code extension. Okay, so because I'm talking about the Power App CLI, so obviously you can do the configuration from the the Dynamic 365 as well, but the future is you can do the portal development or the configuration from the VS Code itself. So that is about the portal development. Now how can I do the portal configuration using this VS Code? For that, we have the extension called Power Platform VS Code extension. So the Power Platform VS Code extension is publicly available, provided by the Microsoft. You can get it from the Azure DevOps extension marketplace and can freely install in your VS Code. Okay, so I'm going to discuss about that in the demo. The second is the deployment, how you can do the deployment using Power Apps CLI. The same like the development, the deployment is also made up of two things, customization and the configuration. So obviously if you've done two sort of things like customization and configuration, you need two sort of process to deploy that. But in case of Power Apps CLI, you can automate your customization deployment using Power Apps CLI or using Azure DevOps, and the configuration can also be deployed using Azure DevOps or the Power Apps CLI. Okay, so that I'm going to demonstrate it in a while. All right. For the deployment perspective, we have the tool called Power Apps Portal Build Tools. Okay, so that is the tool that I have developed few months back, and you can see here total 206 installation is already been done. So I think folks are already using that tools, and they are really happy with that because I have seen feedback on the LinkedIn and all my social media channels that people are really using that tool in their organization. So that tool actually you can get it from this link, and you can start automating your portal deployment. The second tool that is developed by the Microsoft is the Power Platform Build Tools. So that is basically used to deploy your customizations of the Dynamic 365. Okay, so if you want to automate your Dynamic 365 customizations like your solution component deployments, whether that you have done for the portal customization or for the Dynamic 365 customization, you can use this tool like Power Platform Build Tools. All right. All right. So this is all about a fundamental information about the Power Apps CLI, the tools we have, and all sort of ALM process. Okay, now I'm going to discuss about now I'm going to going to give a quick demo of the application. Okay, so first of all, the demo is basically about two part. The first is how you can develop the portal or customize the portal, and the second part is how you can deploy the portal. So I'm going to configure the portal using VS Code. So for example, I'm just opening a VS Code first. So that is the first step. You have to do it first. You have to use the Visual Studio Code. You can freely get it from marketplace. You can simply install it on your local machine. Is freely available for you. Now if I have to start using the portal, so let me show you the groundwork I have already done for you. So if you can see here, I've already Azure DevOps instance open here, and I have a Dynamic 365 Power Apps portal installed here. So I'm going to use the two instance. So this is the first the Dynamic 365 instance where the portal is installed, called Powerthon, and there is a second Dynamic 365 instance, okay, where the portal is installed but the configuration has not been migrated yet from here to there. All right, so I have two instances. What I'm going to do is, this is my development instance. Okay, this one. So this is my development instance and the portal is already open here. You can see here. So I'm going to configure or customize the portal using VS Code. That is the first thing. Once I'm done with the development, I'll deploy this code to going to deploy that configuration to the target instance. Okay, so first I've opened the VS Code. Okay, now let me quickly go through the steps that we're going to follow here. Okay, so you install the VS Code first. Okay, so that is the first thing. Now, if you have to start customizing your portal or if you have to deploy the portal, then the prerequisite is, first of all, you have to install the Powerapps CLI. Okay, Powerapps CLI we already discussed. So, so there are two ways basically to install the Powerapps CLI. So I want to check first, whether uh, the PA portal command line is already available or not. So once we install the Powerapps CLI, you need to hit this command pack just to check whether the portal is available or not. Because sometimes what happen is you are hitting the pack and the PA portal command is not available. That means you didn't install the latest Powerapps CLI. Okay, so if the PA portal is available in the list, that means you have installed the latest Powerapps CLI. Okay, now how I can install the Powerapps CLI. So there are two options. The first one is using Power Platform VS Code extension. So that is the first thing that I recommend or the Microsoft recommend. If you don't want to use the Power Platform VS Code extension, you want to standalone install that Powerapps CLI, then you can hit the command like pack install up latest. So this will also install the Powerapps CLI on your local machine. Okay, so I'm going to use this Power Platform VS Code extension. So if you can see here, this is my VS Code, and in order to install that VS Code extension, just go to this extension and just find it Power Apps Power Platform tool. So I've already installed that, so it's appearing in the installed section. Okay, so you can just simply go and just install this the extension. All right. So once we install this extension, the Powerapps CLI is already installed. That means you don't need to hit this command. But what I was checking is just to check whether the PA portal is available in the Powerapps CLI that you install. You can simply hit the command called pack maybe. Let me quickly. Okay, so as soon as I hit the pack, you can see the PA portal is available in the list. That means in my local machine, I have installed the latest Powerapps CLI. All right, so this prerequisite is done. Now, what I have to do is I have to bring my portal configuration to my local machine or my VS Code so that I can start doing customization. Okay, so obviously, if I have to, get my configure portal configuration to my VS Code, I need to connect my organization, right? So first step is to authenticate. So in order to authenticate, I need to run this command called pack auth create, and this is the Dataverse URL where your portal is installed. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. Okay, and you can also decide the folder where you want to extract or you want to bring your portal configuration. So I've already created a folder called cd. Okay, users So let me go to the folder where I've actually created. So you can see here inside the Arpit folder, I have already created a portal wizap folder. So I want that all the configurations should be there in this folder. Okay, so let me reach to this folder first. So I go to the cd users, then Shiva. All right. So I've entered into the folder and I just want that all the portal configuration should be stored in this particular folder. So first I need to authenticate or to connect to the organization. So I'll just simply paste that command. Now it will first authenticate me. So I just need to replace my URL here. So I will go back to the Dynamic 365 where my portal configuration is stored. All right, so this is my instance. So I'll just copy this URL and paste it over here and hit that. Okay, so as soon as I hit the URL, it's asking me to log in with my credential. So I'm, login with this powercommunity.com. So as soon as I chose that option, it actually connected to my Dynamic 365 instance. And you can see here, it's automatically connected to the Powerthon. The organization name is there. Now the second step is uh, get the portal configuration. To do that, this is the option. What I'm going to do is to list available portals. So once I'm authenticated, I've entered into the organization. I just want to see that how many portals are there. So being a developer, I already know that I have one portal in my instance, but there might be the possibility that you have installed the multiple portals in your Dynamic 365 instance and you don't want to deploy all the portals. You want to deploy a single portal into the target instance. So in that case, it is mandatory to use this command to just let you know that how many portals are there and what is the website ID for that. Because if you want to download the portal configuration, you need the website ID of that. Those who don't know what is the website id is nothing but the portal unique id. When you install a particular portal in your Dynamic 365 instance, it actually creates a unique id for you. So for example, if I have the three portal installed, a customer portal, partner portal, and the community portal, then we have the three websites available in the CRM instance. Okay, and the each one has the three different website unique id. So if you can see, if I hit this command pack portal list, it's list down all the portals available in my instance. Now the next thing is that I want to download the portal content on my local machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm just simply copy this and pack PA portal, PA for Power Apps portal, and download. So download means you are going to download. So it's asking that on which particular path you want to download and what is the ID of that particular portal. So first of all, I'll copy this website ID. Okay, let me paste it here so you will get to know. So I am pasting this website ID here and I need to provide the path where I want to download the content. So this is my path that I've already given. So I'm just copying this path till wizap, pasting it here. All right, so let me copy this, then remove this, paste it here, and then enter. So as soon as I entered, it actually connected to the Powerthon website and start downloading all the content, all the portal configuration available in the Powerthon, the instance. So it's getting all the configuration, whatever configuration tables is there. So there is a limitation, not I would not say the limitation that what sort of entities it can download. It can only download the portal configuration table. So if you have a question like can it download the content from the other Microsoft Dataverse table or the custom table, so that is not possible. It is only allowed to extract the information from the portal configuration table that you can see it here. All right. Perfect. So I have the content available. Let me quickly verify whether the portal configuration gets stored on my local machine. So if you can expand this, you can see the Power Guide website name is there. And inside that, all the configuration gets downloaded on my local machine. All right, so now the next thing is that I have to start doing customization because the portal is there on my local machine now. It's no longer available on the cloud. I have to start doing customization. The advantage of doing this Power Apps CLI is that whether you are connected to the internet or not, whether you are connected to the Dynamic 365 or not, you can still doing customization on the portal, right? So now I have to make some changes in the portal. So let's say this is my portal and here I have written like welcome to Power Guide, and instead of welcome to Power Guide I just want to change the label name to maybe VisApp portal. Okay, so first I need to open that portal inside the VS Code. So to do that I will go to the file, open a folder, go to the C drive, users, okay, out with this one. So this is the folder where all the portal configuration got stored. So as soon as I do that, you can see here all the portal configuration is available here. Okay, now you can see here I have the portal config, I have the web forms or the advanced form, I have the basic form. So all the configuration is there. Now if I have to customize the home page, because this is the home page of the portal, I can simply go to the web page and expand the home page, go to the content page and open this copy HTML. Now you can see here whatever been written there, it's available here also. Welcome to Power Guide. Now the question is that can I preview that as I can do in other, the HTML or the VS Code solutions. So I can simply click on this eye icon or the preview icon. As soon as I hit that, you can see the output of that particular content of the HTML page in the right panel. All right. So here what is written is welcome to Power Guide, and instead of that, I just want to put like welcome to this app. Yeah, bootcamp. All right. And just want to remove the guide. And you can see here as soon as I change the content in the left panel, it automatically changed here as well. So if you can see here, I can simply check the UI or the preview of the HTML page as well. Okay, so I've done the changes. I save this. Now I have to upload back this updated configuration to my Dynamic 365 instance. Okay, so again, I will simply go to the terminal, open the new terminal. Now the next thing is that I have to upload the configuration. So download was done. I have made the changes. Now the next thing is that I have to upload the changes. To do, I have to use the command like pack portal upload, and I have to provide the path where your configuration has been changed, right? So this is the same path where I've actually stored the portal configuration. So I need to give the same path so that it actually picks all the configuration from here and upload it back to your development instance. All right, save this and hit this command and enter it. What it's saying, started up from the platform, please provide the path. What it's saying, the uploaded path provided does not contain portal data. Please provide the path of the directory which contains the website JSON. All right, so let me check here again. All right, portal upload, paths, folder locations. Okay, so the one more thing, like I have to upload that, so I need to provide the full URL. So I think I have provided only till the portal viz app, but my portal configuration is installed inside this folder, right? As you can see in the error message saying like in this folder, it they don't find the website JSON file, right? So what I need to do is I need to copy this full path where my actual portal data is stored and paste it here. Now it's good. Now let me run this command again and enter. So it started uploading website data. The interesting fact is that I only changed the web page, the home web page. So it's only uploaded the ADX web page only. Okay, it didn't deploy or didn't upload all the configuration that is unchanged. Okay, so that is the very important thing that you need to keep in mind, that it only deploy the latest changes that you have done in your VS Code. All right, so the latest changes has been uploaded. Okay, let me go back to the VS Code again. Sorry, the portal where it is still appearing welcome to Power Guide. Let me refresh the portal. And now you can see here without refreshing the page, it's still appearing welcome to. Uh, Let me refresh it again. So if you can see here, the name has been changed to VisApp India Bootcamp. All right. So you can imagine that how simple it is. You can simply manage the portal configuration from the VS Code. Now the latest release of the Microsoft that is currently in preview, there is one more feature that Microsoft has provided in this pack, the Powerapps Cli of the deployment profile. Now, what is the meaning of deployment profile? Hope I have the time. Okay. All right, so I still have 10 minutes. So deployment profile is nothing but it actually lets you deploy your portal to the multiple Dynamics 365 instances. All right, so right now I have downloaded the portal from the Powerthon website and uploaded the updated configuration to the Powerthon website itself. Right, so this is about the development. But what about the deployment? If I have to deploy it to the target instance, then there is a feature called deployment profile. Now in the deployment profile, I can simply create multiple profile where I have to upload or deploy the portal. Okay, so let's discuss about the last one, that is the deployment profile. And the deployment profile, what you need to do is you need to first create the deployment profiles in your root folder. So go here, okay, in the top label and just create a new folder called deployment profile. All right. So just make sure the deployment profile folder is created under your portal name. Okay, so that is the root folder. Don't create it inside as a inside as a subfolder in any of the parent folder. So it should be there along with other folders. So deployment profile folder is there. Now inside that I have to create multiple deployment profiles. So for example, I want to deploy this portal to the UAT. I have to deploy this portal to the production. So what I can do is I can simply create a file inside this and will rename it as dev deployment YML. I can create a file called UAT deployment file, and I can also create a deployment file for prod. All right, so I have created three files: dev, prod, and the UAT. That means if I want to deploy the same portal configuration to the multiple environment, I can do it using that. Now, what the content should be there inside this deployment file? So there is a syntax of that. So you need to follow this particular syntax. So in the deployment profile, so for example, I made the changes in the home page and I want to deploy the same configuration to all the three environments, then I can use this deployment profile. Now, but the beauty of this deployment profile is that every time you don't want to send the same configuration to all the target instance, right? So for example, if I am deploying the portal configuration to UAT, to the UAT, then the header message should look like. Let me go to the portal. Okay, so for example, this is my UAT instance, let's suppose. Okay, so if I want to deploy the portal, then the header should look like welcome to BizApp India Bootcamp UAT. And if I want to deploy the portal to the production instance, it should look like welcome to BizApp India Bootcamp uh, production, right? So that means the basic objective is like, I want to deploy different configuration to the different environment. So you can only achieve using the deployment profile. Now in the deployment profile, what I can do is in the dev. So right now I'm going to use the dev one. Okay, so in the dev deployment profile, just paste it here. Now I have to provide the table name, I have to provide the record ID, column name and the column value. So for example, I want to deploy the content snippet. So I'll go to the content snippet first. I will put the name of the entity. So the name of the entity is, uh, let me open another instance to without wasting a time, because I've already have one open in my instance. So let me open a folder, document or page hotel. Okay. So let me copy it from here so that you can understand. All right. So I have created a deployment profile and just pasting this particular code. So this is a basic syntax actually that you have to follow. Let me close this. Okay. Control V. Now this is the syntax where first you need to provide the table name. Then you have to provide the primary field name where you have to put the record ID and the name of a content snippet and that value of that content snippet. Okay, so you can simply find it over here. So if I go to the content snippet and if you search with the name browser title suffix, so here it's a content snippet available. Okay, and here in the HTML you can see the browser title is the custom portal right now. Okay, so if I go here, go back to my portal. If you can see the browser suffix is custom portal, right? If you can see here, I'm putting the hover, it's showing custom portal in the browser suffix. I want to change it to the Visa portals. Okay, so what I can do is this is my this I want to change in the dab. So in the deployment profile, I just simply change it to Visa portals. Okay, and for the GUID, I will go to the YAML file, and in the content snippet, I have the GUID. So I have to paste this content snippet GUID. Okay. All right. So the rest of the things will be the same, and we'll save it. Now this hyphen mark is basically indicating that you can have the multiple records over here in the single table, right? So you might have 5 content snippet in a particular content snippet table that you want to deploy in the DAB. And for example, when you are deploying to the DAB, you want to keep the name Visa portals. And if I can copy the same and go to the prod deployment, and here I can change it to this. So that is the advantage of using deployment profile. From the same configuration, from the same deployment, I can do the different configuration. All right. So for now, I'm just deleting that. I'm going to use only dev one, but you can simply explore that. Okay. Okay. So I have the Visa portals. Now how to deploy or upload the portal configuration using deployment profile. So for that, we have the syntax or the command line, this one. Okay. Now where my portal is stored, so I need to copy this folder name again, and I have to provide the deployment path name as well. So go back to my VS Code. Yep, this one, and just paste there. So now you can see here pack portal upload. This is the path where my portal configuration is there, and here I have to provide the deployment path name. So the deployment profile name. Sorry. So currently the deployment profile name is dab. So I have to make to it dab. Then to hit. So now you can see here started uploading the latest data using the, so now not going to upload the data which is available here. It's only going to deploy the data which is available in the profile. Okay, in the deployment profile. So you can see here it actually updated the content snippet. If I go back to my portal, refresh it. So now you can see here the browser suffix has been changed to home Visa portals. All right. So this is the way you can deploy your portal configurations using the deployment profile into the multiple instances in a one go. That is the latest release. I still have 2 minutes, so I'll take 2 minutes to showcase how you can automate this whole process. So right now I have done all the things, all the command manually. But if you don't want to remember whatever commands I have given in the notepad, I'm going to give you this in the chat, that what instruction you have to follow. But if you don't want to remember all these commands, and if you don't want to manually perform all this command while deploying the portal, then you have my tool available. You can simply install that. So let me go back to my tool, that one. So that is the Power Apps portal build tools. So you can simply install that. It's a free tool available. You can simply install in your Azure DevOps instance, and all the instructions are given in this tool to use this tool in your Azure DevOps instance. Now quickly discuss about how it actually works. So here is my, the DevOps instance, the Power Guide DevOps instance, and here I've actually created a pipeline. How you can install this tool? You just need to go to the shopping cart or browse marketplace, and inside the browse marketplace you can just simply search that tool called Power Apps build tools. Okay, so once you hit search, sorry, not the Power Apps, it's a Power Apps portal build tools. So once you hit the Power Apps portal build tools, you get to see Carpet Dynamics Power Apps build tool. You can just simply click here and it will start installing in your Azure DevOps instance. Okay, and once you install that, I think I am running out of time. Rakesh, if you don't mind, can I extend for 2 minutes more, if that is fine with you?
Yeah, absolutely
Yes.
right. Arpit.
Perfect. All right. So I just wanted to discuss about this tool quickly. So if I go back, since I've already installed this tool, so I'm not going to install it. So once I install this tool in my Azure DevOps instance, I need to create a pipeline. Okay, I'm not going to discuss about how to create a pipeline. There are, plenty of videos up available on the internet. So you can just simply create a pipeline. I'm going to discuss about how you can utilize my tool or the task inside the pipeline. So I've created a pipeline where I actually created three, you know, major build tasks. Market. Okay. Since at the marketplace, you can see there are basically three major tasks. The first one is the portal tool installer. So portal tool installer does nothing. It's actually install all the prerequisites. So I was discussing about like you have to install the pack commands, Powerapps CLI. So you don't need to install it manually. It actually automatically does it on your environment. Export portal configuration. It actually takes the export of your portal configuration, and import, it actually imports your portal configuration to the target instance. Okay. So since it's a CI pipeline, I just want to export my configuration. So in the tool installer, you just need to add this. And in the export portal configuration, you need to provide your Dynamic 365 URL, your website ID that I have given in the VS Code manually. You have seen. Now, in order to connect that, I cannot use the dialog box where I can enter the username and password. So I'm using the OAuth authentication. So you need to register an app in the Azure Active Directory, and then you can get the application ID, secret key, and the tenant ID. Okay, and obviously you have to create the application user in the Dynamics instance. And then there are two other options: save export data and save export data selected one. So that is actually I've just recently introduced this feature based on the community, the feedback. So in the all section, basically it actually export all the configuration data. But sometimes you don't want to deploy all your code to your target instance. You only want to deploy the selected entities. You don't want to deploy the web files every time, site settings, because sometimes your site settings values are different in multiple environments. So you want to exclude that data while doing deployment. So you can just simply mention the name with a comma separated way, that what data you want to exclude. Okay, and then you need to commit the code, then exclude the table from export. So whatever commands I have given, it's already available on my marketplace blog. You can just get it from there, that what instructions I have given here. You can just simply need to follow that. Okay, and then publish the artifacts. So if I quickly run this, you can simply check that how it actually export the data. All right, so meanwhile this the pipeline is working or the job is running. If anyone is having any question, they are open to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Arpit. It was really good session, and I can see that couple of questions are there in the chat window
All
that
right.
I got from various attendees.
All right.
So I will read out those questions. The first question is it possible to integrate PCF control in the Power App portal using ALM lifecycle management?
Let me read the question. Where is there? Uh,
Uh, can I repeat?
yes, please. Yes, Sanjay,
Yeah.
please.
So the question is it possible to integrate or is it possible to use the PCF control, Power App Component Framework controls in the Power App portal, ALM?
ELM, you mean to ask with the this VS Code you are asking? Then yes, you can integrate the PCF control using the PA because the Power CLI initially developed for the PCF control, then it started using the Power Apps portal, right? So you can do that. Yep.
Okay, good. And the next question is, uh, one point you have mentioned that, sorry, uh, the question is what is the recommended way to override the customization of forms in the model driven app?
What is the recommended way to override customization? I didn't really understand this question. What do you mean by override the customization of form in a model driven app?
So what I understood here that if there are already customizations available on the model driven app,
Mm-hmm.
and if the solution is getting imported, a new solution that contains additional customization on the form, then what is the recommended way while importing the solution into the app? So to
See,
override
there
the form
there are
customizations.
basically, yeah, so there are basically two things. You can manage this using the the solution strategy actually. So the thumb rule is that the multiple developers should not be working on the same form first of all. Okay,
Okay.
so that is the first thing, and there is a proper communication should be there if you are doing a deployment so that no your co-workers is working on the same environment and they stop doing development on that. So it's all about the communication. There is no such sort of warning or some sort of tools that will force you to stop doing customization or configuration while doing development. So it's all about the communication. That unless or until the deployment is done, you don't need to do any sort of development on that. Otherwise, it will override your customization.
Okay. And I can see another question, the last question. Can the environment variables be migrated using configuration migration tool?
I think yes, because environment variables is nothing but the tables that actually store the data. So yes, you can do that using configuration migration tool.
Okay. Yeah, I think these are the questions that we have. Thank you, Arpit. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks. Thanks.
Really,
Thanks
it
a lot.
was a good session, and I hope attendees too learned a lot from you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks. Thanks, Bharat, and
Thanks.
thanks to the whole
Thank
Thanks a
you.
organization.
lot, Arpit. Much appreciated.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you too,
thanks.
Arpit. Thanks a lot.